Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about Conda, which is a really useful tool for creating environments for your projects. So what is Conda? It's really two different things. It's a package manager and an environment manager. So for the first point, think of it kind of like pip if you've used pip before. A package manager just allows you to install a bunch of different packages that you need and make sure that there aren't any conflicts among all those dependencies. And an environment manager is a little bit different. It allows you to create environments that are specific to certain projects. And these environments basically have all the dependencies that your code needs to run. What's really nice about this is that when someone else wants to run your code, they can just create this environment that you've kind of put together, and then it should just work. All the dependencies are there and the code will just run normally. And so you can kind of see in this little image that I have below, I listed all the dependencies that were in this environment called Dino. And I'm just going to kind of scroll through these. There's quite a few. And you can see that it just keeps track of all those in the background for us automatically, which is super convenient. Okay, now let's talk about how Conda fits together in this ecosystem of other products. So you might have heard of Mini Conda or Anaconda before. This diagram kind of shows how they all fit together. And I'm going to talk about this diagram from the outside in. So we're going to start with Anaconda. And Anaconda is called a Python distribution. And all that means is that you get Python, but along with that, you get a bunch of other modules with it too that are bundled together. And Anaconda is really known for data science. And so it kind of gives you everything that you need. You'll never really have to install another package because it just gives it to you automatically, along with Conda as well. But the only problem with this is that it's kind of bulky. There's a lot of packages that you're installing with that. And so they created this thing called Mini Conda, which is kind of the stripped back version, just the bare bones. And it really only gives you two different things, Conda and Python. And that's it. And so what that allows you to do is then to install the packages that you really need, which is kind of convenient because it's a lot more lightweight rather than kind of installing all the possible packages that you could ever need or use. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be downloading and installing Mini Conda, and then we're going to practice creating some Conda environments in the terminal. All right, let's open up a terminal and get started. Okay, so to get started, open up a terminal. And I have Windows subsystem for Linux, so that's what I'm going to use, but use whatever terminal you're comfortable with. And we're just going to start by installing Conda. So there's kind of just a few commands that we need to type in here, and I put them together in a Google Doc. So I'm just going to switch to my browser here, and we just need to enter in these 4 lines of code. And I'll include a link to this document in the description so that you can have access to it as well. But let's do this one first. So I'm going to copy this and then paste it in here with Control-Shift-V. So this is just downloading the latest Mini Conda installer. And when I do ls, there we go. You should see that file right there. Okay, now we're going to copy this line of code. And essentially what this is doing is running the installer. Okay, so we kind of have to sign this agreement. So you can just start pressing enter. And it's a pretty long agreement. So I usually just press Q and that'll just skip to the bottom. And then make sure that you type yes to accept the license terms. So we'll say yes. I'm going to press enter to install it into the default location. Give this a second here. And here are all the packages that it's installing. I'm going to say yes to run Conda init. Perfect. Okay. And then once we've done this, you'll kind of notice this little message. It says, for changes to take effect, close and reopen your current shell. And there's kind of a shortcut. So instead of having to actually close and reopen it, we can kind of refresh our shell. And the way to do that is to say source.bashrc. So let's do that. And if all goes well, you should see this base right next to like your username now. And this just means that we're now in the base environment. And now our terminal should recognize the Conda command. So if we type in Conda, it recognizes it as a command and just prints the usage. Okay, I'm going to clear the screen now. All right, so I already said that we were in the base environment. Let's look at what packages we already have installed in here. So I'm going to say Conda list. And here are all the different packages that we have installed. Notice that we have pip. Notice that we have Python. A lot of other things that they depend on, but other than that, not too much else. Okay, so now let's create a new environment. So we're going to say Conda create, and then -- name, and then the name of the environment. So I'm going to say example. Perfect. And this is just the default location where it will save that environment. I'm just going to do Y for yes. Awesome. And then it's already giving us some tips here. So we can kind of actively use that environment by saying Conda activate and then the name of the environment. So right now we're in the base environment, but I'm going to say Conda activate example. And now you'll notice that next to my username, it says example because we're in the example environment. If I want to get out of that environment, I can just say Conda deactivate. Perfect. And if I even want to get out of the base environment, I could say like Conda deactivate. And then I'm going to say Conda activate. Cool. And let's go back to our example environment. So we're going to say Conda activate example. And we're going to now do Conda list to see what packages we have installed. And we don't have any packages. So what we're going to do Conda deactivate to go back to the base environment. And we're going to overwrite the environment that we just created. And instead of just having it be completely empty, we're going to clone the base environment. So we're going to say Conda create name example, just like we did before. And then we're just going to append one last argument here. So we're going to say clone, and then the name of the environment that we want to clone, which is going to be base. So let's do that. It's saying, hey, you already have an environment named example. Are you sure you want to do this? And I'm going to say Y for yes. Give this a second to do that. Perfect. I'm going to clear the screen. Now let's go Conda activate example. And then let's do Conda list. And now we should see all of those packages that were in the base environment as well. Perfect. Okay, so now let's start installing some other packages. So to do this, we can say Conda install, and then the name of the package that we want to install. So the first one, let's just do something really simple. We're going to do debug py. It's going to search that up. It says, are you sure that you want to install this package? And I'm going to say Y for yes. Perfect. And now if I go Conda list, we should see debug py. There it is. Couldn't see it for a second, but there it is. Perfect. So it worked correctly. Let's do another one. So we're going to say Conda install numpy. All right. So this is a little bit of a bigger package, and it also depends on a lot of other packages. So here, it's not just installing NumPy, it's also installing NumPy base and all these other packages. And so I'm just going to say Y for yes. Perfect. And when we do Conda list here, maybe I'll even pipe it to grep, and we'll just find NumPy. And sure enough, there it is. So it's in our list of packages that we have installed. Awesome. Okay, let's do another one. So we're going to say Conda install, and we're going to do gputil. This is really nice for kind of examining your GPU usage in a Python program. So let's do that. Oh, there we go. All right, so this is interesting. We have a different message this time. So it's the following packages are not available from the current channels. So the package that we wanted to install wasn't available. And here are the current channels that we were looking in. And then it says to search for alternate channels that may provide the Conda package you're looking for, navigate to anaconda.org. All right, so let's talk a little bit about channels. What are channels? So channels are basically just places to look for packages to install them. And so there's a number of default channels that Conda automatically kind of looks in. These are the ones that are listed right here. But sometimes they don't contain all the packages that we want. And so it's kind of redirecting us to this website to find alternative channels. So we're actually going to do this. We're going to copy this. I'm going to do Control-Shift-C. I'm going to open up my web browser again and paste in this address. And yeah, the whole point of anaconda.org is to find packages that you might need. I just wanted to point out that it is anaconda.org, not anaconda.com. So anaconda.com is kind of a landing page for their product, whereas anaconda.org is a place to find packages. Okay, so now that we're here, let's search for the packages, and we wanted GPUtil. So we're going to search that up, and you'll notice that the first thing that came up was this one right here. And so this right here, the package owner is essentially the channel. So we have Conda Forge as our channel, and then here's the GPUtil package that we want. So I'm going to click on this, and it just gives us a little line of code that we can paste into to get that package. So let's kind of explain what this is as well. So we have Conda install, just like we've seen before, and then this -C is specifying a channel, and that channel is Conda Forge, and then just the package that we want to install. So instead of going through the default channel, we're now explicitly saying, look in this channel instead. So let's do that now. I'm going to do Control-C, jump back here, and do Control-V, paste that in. Give this a second. There we go. It looks like it found it. Okay, and I'm going to say Y for yes. It's installing all these packages. And it worked. Okay, and if we did like Conda list, let's see, there it is, GPUtil. And you'll notice we have something kind of new that we haven't seen before. So now it will list Conda Forge as the channel that we installed that package from. So for example, for GPUtil, here it is. And for all the ones that are blank, that just means that it's from one of the default channels. So yeah, so Conda Forge is actually something that you'll probably see a lot. If it doesn't work in like the regular default channels, this is always like the second place to look. So always just append that -C Conda Forge, and most of the time you'll be able to find the package that you want. Conda Forge is actually really cool. Here, I'm going to click on this really fast. So Conda Forge is essentially just, it's an organization. It's just community led. There's a bunch of different people, and their whole mission is to upload like every package possible under this channel so that it's available to anyone that uses Conda. And so here are all the packages that they have uploaded. You can see that there's like over 15,000 here if I wanted to view all. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, this is just the first page, and there's another like 305 pages. So yeah, really cool. Their whole mission is just to make packages accessible on Conda, and they do a great job of it. So if at first it doesn't work with the default channels, make sure to look at Conda Forge next. And before we move on to anything else, let's actually look at where you could find like the default channel. So if I say like Anaconda here, I'm going to search that in here. And here we go. I'm going to click on this. This is going to give me the Anaconda like default channel. And we're going to click on view all. And so you can see there's like over 2,000 default packages. And these would be like the packages that would get installed if you downloaded Anaconda versus Mini Conda, which is what we installed. So here they all are. I think if I remember correctly, here, like if I say like debug pi, yeah, so debug pi. Remember, we didn't have to do Conda Forge for that because it's already here in the default channel. So that's kind of cool. And this is just the first page of 50. So yeah, if you're ever curious, like, well, what is even in the default channels, you could kind of look that up here on anaconda.org as well. So, all right, enough of that. Let's jump back to our terminal now. And at this point, we have a lot of different packages that we've installed into our environment. And what we would really like to do is be able to export that so that when other people are trying to run our code for our project, they're able to have all those dependencies and just have it work. And so the way we would do this is with this command. We're going to say conda env export. And then we're going to do this greater than sign to basically pipe the results of that to a file. And you can name this file whatever you'd like, but traditionally it's just environment.yml. So let me type that out, environment.yml. Perfect. And I'm just going to do ls to list my home directory. And now I'm just going to say cat environment.yml so we can kind of take a look at it. And yeah, so basically what this is it's just a recipe to kind of rebuild the environment that you've already created. So it's saying, if you want this example environment, here are the channels that you're going to want to look in, Conda Forge and the defaults, and then here are all the dependencies that you need to make sure to install, which is kind of cool. So then let's pretend like someone is pulling your repository that you've been working really hard on, and now they want to create that environment from that environment.yml file. So let's talk about how they might do that. Before we do that, so I'm going to do, I don't know if I've shown this to you guys yet. If you say conda env list, it will show you all the available environments that you have. So here we have the base environment in our example environment. Let's actually delete this example environment. So to do that, we're going to say conda remove, and then we're going to say name example and then -- all. Yes, and it actually won't let us do that since we're actually using the example environment. So let's do conda deactivate, and then we'll say conda here. We're just going to do that same command. So conda remove the example environment, and we want to remove everything. So that's why we did all. So let's do that now. Yep. Y for yes. Perfect. And so now when I do conda env list, we're only going to see our base environment. Cool. So now let's build the environment from the environment.yml file. So we're going to type conda env create -- file, and then the name of our file. So environment. Perfect. Let's run that. Just give it a second here. There we go. Perfect. So now if we say conda env list, sure enough, there's the example environment that we built from our file. And then we could just say conda activate example. And that concludes this tutorial. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.